Well, after a shave, a shower, a shampoo and a blessing from the lovely Isabel Kingston, we completed our 3 days around the crop circles in Avebury and headed for Glastonbury tour. This was the ancient site that was reputed to have Christ walking here 2,000 years ago with his uncle Joseph of Arimathea. And as the legend went, as transmitted by William Blake, the famous poet, and did those feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountains green, and was the holy Lamb of God on England's pleasant pastures seen. Bring me my bow of burning gold, bring me my arrows of desire, bring me my spear, O clouds, unfold, bring me my chariot of fire. Quite an appropriate poem for the coming of the crop circles and the beings who are bringing them in their chariots of fire. In any case, we had become aware that like Avebury, Glastonbury too was a fertility site, and a lot of this had been uncovered by our friend Hamish Miller, whom we were next to visit in Cornwall, when he deciphered and doused the Michael and the Mary line. So just at Avebury, where the Michael line ended up with Brian Sumler's description. So at Glastonbury too, the Michael and the Mary lines created a beautiful dance whereby the Michael line ended up with a phallic shape at the Tor itself, a phallus, and the Mary line in turn created this beautiful chalice shape around Michael's phallus. So in this way, Glastonbury too was a fertility symbol, and we were talking about these things as we arrived in Glastonbury and climbed the Tor at dusk for a beautiful view over the mists of Avalon. I can see Jan looking at the seat. There she goes. It's a beautiful view over the Vale of Avalon though, isn't it? And there goes Mrs. Cook.
Yeah, has a real sense of physical, fluidity. I know you're just pretending to listen, you're not really listening at all.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Big man coming to save the black man, the black man. Wanted the white man finally figuring out black man is a lot more than white man.
Not many.
Imagine the wind that howls through that opening. Wow.
Next morning at the symposium, John Woolard had a free ticket due to the last minute of our Maori friend Patu Hakarai, who had to cancel at the last minute because of lack of funds, etc.
That's me. No, that's him. That's him.
Let's get focused in on that.
Yeah,
So here we've got Patu Hakarai. How did you happen to get a name like that, Patu? Yeah?
well, I happened to find a ticket lying about, and it's suited, as it were.
And how come you happen to have such a Somerset accent, as it were?
That's a difficult question.
We met many beautiful people at the symposium, many like-minded souls, and we heard many amazing stories. But we were the only ones from the deep South Pacific. Lynn, I've just got to take a little bit of footage of you here to take back to Ginny, you know. Okay, crop circle calendars, the spiral. So the helicopter was actually sort of hovering in one place, straight over the circle, sort of thing. Yeah.
And went down to get a larger picture in the frame of the pictures. But as the picture got larger, as she got nearer, the colour disappeared.
Wow.
You could barely see the image. And then as the helicopter went up again, the colour picked up, and you can see it on the roll.
So that little one there, is that from the film? From the film?
From the digital camera, but not a central lens.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we were there.
I feel specially connected to that because that's the pattern that I published in the book, and it's completely independent of. I mean, the circle appeared when I was over here, and while the book was being published.
As we were saying earlier, that you can still see that in the soil.
Oh, right,
There's no
right.
crop planted as yet, or it hasn't come up, but you can see the formation.
Where's that one? Windmill Hill, isn't it?
Yeah.
Andy Thomas, the convener of the symposium, introduced a stream of inspirational speakers, too many to mention here, starting with his friend Alden Jenkins, who read us a very deep and inspirational poem.
Paul's going to share with you his perspective on life, the universe and everything, hopefully. So please put your hands together for Mr. Alden Jenkins. By Martin Armstrong. It's called The Cage. And this is an old poem, so it's in old sexist language. Man, afraid to be alive, shuts his soul at senses 5. From fields of uncreated light into the crystal tower of sight. And from the roaring songs of space into the small flesh-carven place of the ear, whose cave impounds only small and broken sounds. And to his narrow sense of touch, from strength that held the stars in clutch, and from the warm and ambrosial spice of fruits and flowers of paradise, into the frail and fitful power of scent and tasting sweet and sour, and toiling for a sordid wage, there in his self-created cage. Ah, how safely barred is he from the menace of eternity.
There were many different opinions and viewpoints on the crop circle phenomenon that we heard at the symposium. Some very dry, some of them very wacky, and all of them quite interesting.
So this documentary is really about the circle makers, who every now and then show themselves as balls of light or lightnings or whatever they choose.
The information coming from Legolin, the name of this 13th dimensional being, is saying that yes indeed, as many of us have wondered and thought, crop circles are really specific symbols. They are deliberate symbols, purposeful, carefully planned, masterfully planned in my opinion.
There was also an interesting talk on the crystal skulls by Chris Morton, describing him and his friend Cherry Louise's research into the crystal skulls, in which they first had a look at a scientific view of them, and then when they didn't get any answers there, they went back to the Native Americans and asked them, and came up with some very amazing stories.
Now, Kerry and I this afternoon will be talking for approximately 50 minutes, and then we intend to allow some time for questions. And we'll be discussing how the crystal skulls, that's a mystery incidentally, a little akin to crop circles. And we'll also be looking at how the crystal skulls, like crop circles, effectively present us with a challenge to our everyday view of reality. They certainly challenged our view of the world. We'll round off with telling you something about what the Native American people say about the crystal skulls, where they came from. This is the area we're talking about here, which includes Mexico in the northern sector, Guatemala down here, and a little country called Belize that runs along the Caribbean coast here.
And talking about Central America, there's also a great talk from Jeff Stray about the mysterious end date of the Mayan calendar in December 2012. I've heard many different viewpoints of this, but Jeff Stray is pretty well on the mark, I think, and he's done a really good summary in his book. Anyway, he gave a really good talk at the symposium.
In 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, well, I've come to give you a few of my more recent insights. We recently heard from a lot of indigenous people from North and South America who have been telling us about their prophecies, which have remained secrets for hundreds of years, and they've just recently been coming out and telling everyone all about them. Top left-hand corner is Humbat's Men, who's a Mayan daykeeper. He says that on the 21st of December 2012, that will be the day of regeneration, when we will recognise our creator, Hunab-Ku, this is in the centre here. Visit sacred sites in order to, we must visit sacred sites in order to correct the flaw in our DNA and strengthen our energy bodies to prepare us for the event. Now another indigenous shaman called Don Alejandro Chirilla Perez Slash. He is the head of the National Council of Elders of Guatemala. He says in December 2012, Mother Earth will pass inside the centre of a magnetic axis, become darkened with a great cloud for 60 to 70 hours. Earth will enter another age accompanied by volcanoes, earthquakes and floods. Now, Quetzal Shah on the right-hand side here is a Mayan Aztec shaman. He says that the 1991 eclipse opened a dimensional doorway which will be leading us plasmated with knowledge in preparation for a fourth dimensional transformation in 2012, which will then go on progressing to 2029, when it will become fifth dimensional transformation. The Hopi Indians have had a series of 9 prophecies, which started off with the coming of white men with guns, went as far as the coming of the hippies, and the last prophecy, number 9, is the coming of what they call a blue star Kachina, which is a blue star that will appear in the sky and announce the coming of the fifth world.
There were heaps more inspiring talks at the symposium, way too many to mention here. It was a really inspiring weekend. 2001 was the 11th year, and in 2010, 9 years later, it's still going from strength to strength, as the crop circle phenomenon, after a bit of a wane in the mid-2000s, has itself seems to be amping up again towards that December 2012 climax date.